Just a quick disclaimer about this video in case you didn't see it in the title. This Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary is reviewed from the Halo Master Chief Collection, just in case you think I'm reviewing the Xbox 360 version. Also, I do not own any of the songs that are going to be played in the video, and I will also refer to this game as Halo 1. So anyways, let's just get right into the review. So Halo Combat Evolved Halo 1 is a spectacular game. It may not be as fast-paced as recent Halo games, but the game is definitely interesting, and boasts a gameplay style that is really unique compared to other shooters. The story of Halo is actually really good, and can be played in 4 difficulties: easy, normal, heroic, or legendary. Easy and normal are practically the same. Heroic is pretty hard, but legendary is extremely difficult, and should only be done if you beat heroic mode. If you don't want to be spoiled about anything on the story, please skip to this time in the video. The story starts off with the Master Chief waking up from a deep slumber in the Pillar of Autumn, which is the militia ship. By the way, the UNSC is how the militia are referred to as. One of the UNSC members guides him to Captain Keyes. While leading him there, the ship is attacked by the Covenant, which is an alien race which has a grudge against humans, although it's not explained why they have a grudge against humans. Master Chief successfully gets to Captain Keyes, where he and Cortana both await. Cortana is the AI who runs all the technological stuff, and she also knows about all the malicious secrets. And she also knows about the location of Earth, which is why Keyes commands the Master Chief to get her off the ship. So the Chief puts her AI chip in his suit, so she can help him along the way. The Master Chief gets Cortana and a bunch of other militia in a drop pod, and they head down to one of the rings of Halo, as the Pillar of Autumn is now set for a crash course on Halo, as the Covenant, which are the aliens trying to kill the humans, have damaged the ship immensely. When the Master Chief lands on one of the rings of Halo, all the militia with him on that drop pod died, as the drop pod did crash down on Halo because of a malfunction. The Covenant have also landed on Halo, and they try to take down the Master Chief. They fail to, and along the way the Master Chief sees that most of the militia have actually survived and escaped from the Pillar of Autumn. The militia gathers all of the survivors via their pelicans, but they unfortunately hear that Captain Keyes is being held hostage on the Truth and Reconciliation, a Covenant ship. The Master Chief and the militia board the ship and successfully rescue him. Captain Keyes heard about Halo being a weapon, one with unimaginable power. He says that the Covenant could wipe out the entire human race with that weapon, so they have to stop the Covenant from unleashing that weapon, which is why they want to beat the Covenant to Halo's control room. They then head off to an island where the map to Halo's control room is supposed to be, and they successfully beat the Covenant to the map. The Master Chief and Cortana fight their way through the Covenant and reach Halo's control room. In Halo, Cortana says something is buried within it, and the Covenant fear it greatly. Captain Keyes heads off to an assumed weapons cache, which is where that thing the Covenant fear, and that is later revealed to be a species known as the Flood. The Master Chief heads off to the assumed quote-unquote weapons cache, and sees that many of the militia have been killed. The Master Chief sees a helmet and then uses that footage from the helmet to see what happened. The Master Chief sees that the soldiers have opened the quote-unquote weapons cache, which turns out to be where the Flood, a parasitic species, were being held. Now that the Flood were free, they captured Captain Keyes and are trying to get him to reveal the location of Earth. The Master Chief then leaves the Flood prison, but has to deal with some of them along the way. After escaping the Flood prison, he meets someone called 343 Guilty Spark, who tells him that it knows a way of how to kill all the Flood. 343 Guilty Spark says that they have to use Halo to destroy it, and they must retrieve the index in the library. After dealing with a crap ton of Flood, with help from the Sentinels, which are robots that appear to help you fend off the Flood, the Master Chief escapes with the index and with 343 Guilty Spark. 343 Guilty Spark transfers both of them to the Halo control room, where the Master Chief uses the index to activate Halo, but is stopped by Cortana. Cortana says that Halo's purpose isn't to wipe out the Flood. It's supposed to starve the Flood to death by taking out every single life form in the galaxy, as the Flood can only survive by eating living things or possessing one. The Master Chief then realizes that activating Halo is way too extreme of a plan to destroy the Flood, so he listens to Cortana. But 343 Guilty Spark believes this is the only way, so it turns on him, attempting to stop him. The Master Chief luckily escapes 343 Guilty Spark's attempt to assassinate him and leaves the control room. Cortana tells the Master Chief that Halo is powered by 3 pulse generators, so if they disable them, then 343 Guilty Spark has to fix them, buying them lots of time to stop them from activating Halo. Luckily, they are bought enough time to stop Halo, and the Master Chief and Cortana then realize that blowing up the Pillar of Autumn can be a big enough of an explosion to destroy Halo. To do that, however, they need to head back to the Truth and Reconciliation to retrieve Captain Keyes, as only he can give them access to do so. The Master Chief and Cortana then find Captain Keyes has been assimilated by the Flood because they wanted him to give the location of Earth to them. Luckily, he refuses to, and the Flood end up killing him. With the captain dead, the Master Chief has to retrieve his neural implants, which will grant him access to blow up the Pillar of Autumn. After the Master Chief and Cortana escape the Tritium reconciliation, they then head to the Pillar of Autumn, where they self-destruct the ship by destroying the fusion reactors. The Sentinels, the Covenant, and the Flood attempt to prevent the Master Chief from doing so, but to no avail. The Master Chief successfully destroys the ship and escapes, watching Halo's destruction. Cortana thinks it's over, but the Master Chief thinks that it's just the beginning, which, of course, hinted at Halo 2. Although the story isn't on par with science fiction movies like Star Wars or Alien, it's definitely very interesting and enjoyable because I find it very hard to skip the cutscenes, as you absolutely have to know what's going on in Halo 1. The voice actors also do a really good job, and I think they fit each character very well, although the Master Chief doesn't sound as awesome as it did in later games. The gameplay of Halo 1 is actually pretty different from the majority of shooters I've played. First of all, there's no sprinting, so you have to use vehicles to go faster, and that makes parkour a lot harder. Second, there's power-ups scattered around that can give you stuff like invisibility or even an extra shield. Third, you have an energy shield which prevents you from getting hurt for real, and an energy shield recharges over time. So if it goes down, then you have to wait before it recharges. Because if your HP, which is listed directly below your energy shield, goes down, then it's game over. Since your HP can go down, you can collect health packs which are scattered around every area of the game, which restores your HP to max. And last but not least, there are a lot of new weapons in the game, like the Plasma Rifle, the Needler, which is probably the best Covenant weapon in the game, and the Plasma Pistol. The UNSC weapons are all standard, like the Assault Rifle, the Magnum aka the pistol, and the Shotgun, which is really handy against the Flood. All the weapons are very unique, with some of them requiring ammo and some of them running on a limited battery life. The Plasma Pistol can be charged up and shot at any enemy, which can drain their energy shields, making them vulnerable to attack. The Needler is in a class on its own. If you love mass destruction, this weapon is for you. This weapon is guaranteed to make any enemy explode, as long as you deplete an entire round of it. Halo 1 actually has a pretty simple variety of enemies. On the Covenant side, there are the Grunts, which are the weakest and also the funniest enemies. Jackals are enemies that protect themselves with shields, so you need to try and distract it so you can get a clear shot. The Elites are similar to you, as they are the only enemies which have energy shields, so you have to try your best to kill them before their shields regenerate. And last but not least, on the Covenant side, there are Hunters, which are guaranteed to be the bane of your existence, as they are incredibly tanky, but they do have a vulnerability on their backs, so you first have to distract a Hunter in order to actually damage it. On the Flood side, the enemies are much more annoying. There's the Infection Form Flood, which are the smallest. They deal the least amount of damage to energy shields, but they deal a lot of damage to your health points once your energy shield is down. So if there's a lot of them and they drain your energy shield, then you are screwed. A lot of the Infection Form Flood becomes absolute hell, so when you see a large group, be prepared for intense meleeing, or just come prepared with an automatic weapon or a shotgun. The second form of Flood are the two combat forms, which are the Elite Combat Form and the Militia Combat Form. The Militia ones are weaker, but there's more of them. And the thing about them is that they have to be killed twice, as once they've been killed once, they come back up a few seconds later, so shoot at it while it's down. The last form of Flood are probably the worst. You know how Goombas in Mario make an attempt to run into you, right? Now imagine a third form of Flood as bigger Goombas, which are slower, and they explode in your face instead of charging into you, and they can hide away from you and approach you when you come close. And they release Infection Form Flood when they explode, even when you kill it. Okay, the Goomba was probably a bad example, but you get the idea. Like I mentioned earlier, Halo 1 has a ton of vehicles, and the vehicles are pretty balanced. There are 4 vehicles in Halo 1 which you can control. The Warthog, which is practically a Jeep with a machine gun, requires 2 people in it if you want to drive and shoot, but it's incredibly sturdy. The Ghost is a solo-controlled vehicle, which moves pretty fast, and it shoots out plasma rifle bullets, so it's incredibly powerful, but it's not very durable. The tank is an amazing vehicle, as it has a gun turret and a rocket launcher built within it, and you only need 1 player to control it. It's incredibly slow though, but extremely durable. The Banshee is an airborne vehicle, and you can fire plasma rifle bullets with it, but it can also shoot out a green plasma missile, which can cause immense damage against both enemies and vehicles. There is another vehicle, but you can't use it in this game. It's called the Wraith, and it's the Covenant's version of the tank. It's very durable and shoots missiles at you which have a high blast radius and can push you back. They also can one-hit you if they hit you directly. It's harder for Wraiths to shoot you from far away, but when you're really close and not in a vehicle, you're basically asking to be killed. Well, unless you have an explosive, like a grenade or a rocket launcher. Speaking of grenades, Halo 1 only has 2 grenades. The Frag Grenade, which explodes really fast and has a minor explosion, and the plasma grenade, which takes a while to explode but can stick on anything, and the explosion is much bigger. The gameplay of Halo 1 was definitely memorable, and it was fun to play with friends both locally and online. There are two different graphics engines powering Halo 1, and you can switch between both of them with a click of a button. The first graphics engine was made by Bungie, and that was used for the original version of Halo 1. The graphics were actually pretty impressive for the original Xbox, but of course they don't look that good compared to today's standards. The second graphics engine was made by 343 Industries, to control the Halo franchise ever since Halo 4. The updated graphics are actually pretty good, especially because Halo 1 was first made on the Xbox 360, even though those graphics don't seem to meet the Xbox One standard. Sure, it's on 1080p and runs at 60 FPS most of the time, still the graphics themselves aren't exactly for an Xbox One. Local multiplayer, better known as split screen, can run the original graphics of Combat Evolved at a very smooth and steady frame rate, which remains pretty consistent no matter how many players you're playing with. But playing the game split screen with the updated graphics can make the frame rate drop a lot, especially in the bigger maps in the campaign mode. In case any of you are wondering, you can only play split screen with the updated graphics on campaign mode, not in an actual multiplayer match. It's not game breaking playing with the updated graphics, but it can get very annoying at times, which is why I recommend playing with the original graphics on split screen mode, because the frame rate is much better. Halo 1's multiplayer is actually pretty fun. For the original version of Halo 1, which was the remaster for Xbox 360, the multiplayer was powered by the engine used to make Halo Reach, but in this version they made it into the original Halo 1 graphics. It makes sense why they did this, because Halo Reach is not part of the Master Chief Collection, so they decided to change the multiplayer and make it normal Halo 1. But it is still fun to play. Always just do a 1v1 with some people, as that is a test of true skill, because it's just you, maybe some vehicles, weapons, and your opponent. The actual online multiplayer is pretty fun, but I rarely visit them, because those really annoying sniper guys always show up, and that's when you can start getting spawn killed. Of course, a lot of shooters have this problem, so I just need to get used to it, but like, those guys are absolutely the worst. I know it could just be because I'm bad, but those guys are just really annoying. They show absolutely no mercy. The multiplayer still is fun though, but to really enjoy it, you need to play on Blood Gulch, which is probably the best map, as it has all the vehicles and it's also the biggest map. And in case you guys are wondering, yes, that map is featured in Red vs. Blue. Sniper guys are also going to have a hard time targeting you in that map, because the map is so big and you can hide in these bases. And there are a lot of power-ups and portals around the place. Online multiplayer can be fun, but it's really only fun when you play with friends, because you can get stuff done faster. Also, you and 3 other friends can do the Halo 1 campaign together, so you can finish it easily. But there's one form of multiplayer which Halo 5 left out, local multiplayer. Inviting your friends and playing Halo together can be really fun, and the frame rate isn't bad, but you are stuck playing with the older graphics, which is fine because the updated graphics have some frame rate issues. The Halo 1 soundtrack is possibly one of my favorite video game soundtracks of all time. The music complements whatever's going on perfectly. Like for example, when fighting the Flood, the music has a darker tone. Or when you escape from the Pillar of Autumn, the music gets really intense with an awesome rock anthem. I'll just give you guys a brief sample of the music so you know why the Halo soundtrack is so good. The music producers of Halo must have spent a lot of time developing the soundtrack, because every song is pure gold. It sounds absolutely fantastic. So yeah, just give the Halo soundtrack a listen, and you will definitely not be disappointed. Halo 1 is definitely a very enjoyable game to play. The story is really good, the soundtrack is spectacular, and the multiplayer is amazing. The graphics are decent, but playing with the updated graphics split screen can be annoying because of the frame rate drops. The game is still fun to play though, which is why I gave this game a 9 out of 10. Thanks for watching this video, and I will review the other Halo games eventually.
I think we're just getting started.